Investors today are cooling on DoorDash, which is down at the moment 6.5%, while the other three are moving higher into those favorites shunned yesterday. People are putting money in. So with Peloton up 5.8%, Zoom up 2%, and Palantir better by 1%, what does that behavior yesterday signal for Airbnb's IPO? To our floor show traders, Tom Hayes and Phil Flynn. Tom, first, to buy or not to buy Airbnb on its debut today? And also, what did you make of that rotation, albeit a short one, yesterday?
Well, Liz, I think this is an abundance of demand and a scarcity of supply. Both Airbnb and DoorDash only floated about 10% of the company. Everyone wants them. They're unique franchises. For me, I would treat this one like Snowflake in the case of Airbnb. Snowflake rocketed off the IPO, and then after a few weeks when the euphoria calmed down, you could get it at a more reasonable price. I don't know how reasonable the price was, but in the case of Airbnb, its recent private market valuation was $34 billion. They raised $3.5 at $41 billion, and now it's trading at about $100 billion. So I might want to wait for it to cool off a little bit. 25 times sales, about 120 times earnings is a little rich for me. In the case of DoorDash, the private market valuation was $16 billion. It traded up to $65 billion before cooling off. And I read a note that it would have to compound revenue at 40% a year for the next decade to grow into that valuation. So I'm going to sit back and wait. I do think Airbnb has a better moat and a better franchise than DoorDash, less competition, 4 million hosts in 220 countries. But for now, I'm going to stick with my knitting. I like to buy things when they're marked down on sale. I'm going to stick with banks, defense stocks, and energy. And Liz, this cyclical rotation, this new business cycle has really taken hold. Just since September, Wells Fargo, the most hated stock in the S&P 500, has outperformed Apple by over 30%. And that's where I want to focus for the beginning of this business cycle.
That's what we got you traders for. Phil, to buy or not to buy Airbnb, and as we await our interview with Brian Chesky coming up, I'm fascinated by the fact that people started moving out, albeit just for one single day, of those hot names like Zoom and Peloton into DoorDash. You know, it's a scary game to chase an IPO, isn't it?
Well, it definitely is, and I'll tell you this, I think what happens is sometimes, so you look at the two different stocks, you got a high price stock and you're looking and say, hey, I can sell this stock and buy, 5 times the amount of shares of this other company that may indeed over time have, long-term potential. And I think you're both absolutely right that sometimes buying on debut day can be very dangerous. But if you have a long-term horizon on this market, and if you're not, trying to price pick exactly, you probably should buy it. I can tell you thousands of stories of investors I've talked to that's, waited on the IPO and said, hey, I really want to own that stock. I can't wait. I'm going to wait till it comes back down. It comes back 30 or 40%, and they're like, I'm afraid to buy it. And then they miss out of it. Facebook is one of my favorites that people talk about. Oh, I want to buy it when it pulls back. It crashed. They never bought it. They still haven't bought it.
Yeah, snap too. Tom, Phil, great to have you weigh in on this. Again, we're watching this as Airbnb travels past the COVID crisis straight onto Wall Street in just a few minutes.